Hello guys, RiderTech here. Let's review the bike. It's coming up the 1 year review, the 1 year of me owning the bike. And let's talk about it. So today we are doing something a little bit different. Let me just get my notes. Okay. So today we're doing something a little bit different. As you can see, I have some notes that I took. The bike at the moment has 6,000 kilometers, more or less, a little bit above that. We are coming to the end of the rear tire. The bike is a little bit dirty because it's winter, so the rear tire is almost gone. So be advised that around 7Ks is what you get with those Pirellis. Besides that, let's check the notes. So first of all, agility. Guys, I cannot tell you enough, this bike is on rails. It's super agile. The only gripe I have with the bike is the suspension could be a little bit better, but I think that's the budget part on this bike is the suspension. We have preload at the front and at the back, and rebound I think at the front, but at the back only preload. So the rear shock is the one that I noticed that I need to upgrade. The bike is more or less in stock settings. The front is good for my weight. I'm 80 kilograms, but the rear should have a little bit more stiffness. But if I dial up the stiffness, the wheel will bounce more. So it needs a better shock. But otherwise, the bike is super agile, stays on rails. It's something really good for this bike. Let's talk about commuting, touring with it. So the main gripe, the main problem with this bike is the fuel consumption. The tank takes 12 liters, but the bike, at least with me, I cannot do more than 200 kilometers with the bike as is. So it destroys. I'm doing like 6 liter every 100 kilometers. I have a little bit of margin there, but normally that's what I'm doing. So touring wise, that's the main limitation. The position is okay, but expect to stop and try to stretch yourself, because otherwise, let me just open this, because otherwise you will cook yourself. You will cook yourself. Let's go to the notes. Yeah, basically that's it. City riding. I find this bike awesome to filter. It's better than my 125, mainly because I can fold the mirrors. So the profile of the bike is very narrow. It's with wires it's the same profile as my 125, but the 125 have fixed handlebars. So this one, since it has clip-ons, it's narrower, but since you can flip the mirrors, you can squeeze awesome between cars. The only thing that this sucks, two things actually. First one, it's the heat. If you are cruising slowly, the bike will become hot very fast. The catalytic converter is on the right side up front, and you will notice the right side heat up really fast, so be advised that that's a problem. The other thing is, if you need to do slow speed maneuvers with a bike and you cannot lean it, it sucks. You have a little turning radius because the clip-ons will make your hands hit the tank. So you basically are very limited in the turning radius, unless you lean the bike. If you lean the bike, you can do really tight turns. But if you need to keep it upright, and normally if you are filtering between traffic and you need to turn between cars, this bike sucks. Get a Tuono, any naked that has good handlebars so you can turn faster. But to filter, this has a very small profile, no problems filtering with this in the city. But expect to be on first or second gear tops because the bike likes to go fast and you cannot go above that. It's like a scooter. Now the engine. So as I was saying, this bike likes to go fast. This is a parallel twin. It has 100 horsepower. This bike. This is the full power version. Um, Top horsepower is around 10k RPM, and the bike sustains that power until the 12. That's the 12k RPM. That's the limiter, and it will cut abruptly. So ride by wire. So there's no pinning throttles in this bike. So be advised that you keep it on the money between 10 and 12k. Otherwise, you will get yourself some brown pants because you think you broke the engine. It's very happy. That's why I'm basically crap at sustaining fuel economy, because the bike loves to be above 7k. It has a little spot between 5Ks and 7Ks RPMs that it's flat. So imagine this: from flat RPMs to 5K, the bike develops very fast. Then between 5K and 7K, it's like it flatlines. You have a spot in the power that the bike doesn't accelerate at the same speed, and then 7k above, it regains that aggressiveness and goes like a rocket. Basically, my point, and there are forums that corroborate this. This is a Euro 5 thing. Basically, emissions and noise are controlled about there, and basically the bike is just strangled. If you do a remap, you can remove that and the bike just goes linearly from top to bottom, from bottom to top, and it's awesome. More things. Okay, there's a noticeable buzziness to the engine, especially if you keep it on the top binary. I think it's around 7-8Ks. It's the parallel twin. The bike vibrates a lot to the point that the mirrors are useless if you keep it on that speed, on that RPM. So be advised that the bike vibrates. It's something of this engine. If you need to check your mirrors, the best thing that I found out is you just pull in the clutch and they go clear. Otherwise, you are better checking your shoulders and use the blobs on the mirrors, because the bike vibrates more. Okay, this is one that surprised me. The bike sounds awesome, in stock form. Let's do a little sound check, just so you guys notice. It's in first gear. Okay. I love this sound. It's awesome. But if you awesome, just awesome. This is stock. And something that I found out about the bike, this bike stock will pop and bang like some aftermarket exhausts do. For example, if you are pushing the bike on some twists and you shift down rapidly when you enter a corner, you will hear the bike pop and bang and gurgling. It's something awesome on a stock bike, restricted from factory. It's something really good. And this is what I have to say about the engine. It's really good. Uh, I will address some things about it later on the reliability section, but for now, engine is done. Fuel economy. As I said, my average, the minimum I did was 5.7 for 100 kilometers. The max was 12.5 for 100 kilometers. So, as you can see, uh, the bike is very thirsty for a 600. So it's more like a true super sport than a normal parallel twin. I know that this is how you ride it, but be advised that if you push the bike, and I normally push the bike, it will go through fuel like nobody's business. That figure, that 12 average, 12 liter, um, I I took this out with Aprilia Mia, so I actually have the onboard of that trip, and that was a highway trip, and I basically exit the fuel pump, and I watched my fuel gauge descend in real time because I was pushing the bike a lot. So um, that's when I did not max out to the speed of the bike, but I went close, and that's when I noticed that I needed to back off because otherwise I would not reach my destination because of the fuel. So, position. Let's talk about the position. So this is between a Ninja 650 and a true Super Sport. So, um, what do I mean by this? Basically, the main thing is just put it there. The pegs are high. Your knees will slot right here, right there, and that will be uncomfortable. But the clip-ons are also high, and this little raise normally it would be below the triple clamp. This little raise will make it so that it you don't put all the weight on your wrists, and this is like 1-2 centimeters, and this does all the difference in comfort with your hands. So it's still uncomfortable, but way more sensible than a true super sport, and you basically are okay riding it with no problem because of that. More, let's go more. Position. Okay. My favorite. Technology. As I said, this bike has too much technology. The Mia module is something that you should get if you want, but it's really superfluous, especially if you have a car though, and you put a quad lock with your phone there. You don't need properly the Mia. But if you have it, as I said, I pulled some statistics from the bike, and it's fun. It also integrates with your dash. You can put the GPS directly to the dash. You can control media. You can control calls. It's like a car in that aspect. So it's great. It works great. It's not Android Auto or Apple whatever, I don't know, but it works. Be advised that if you use the Mi app for navigation, that has a license, it will expire and you will need to buy a new one. Next, Cruise control, awesome in the highway. When you need to keep the throttle always open in the same position, that gets really tiring really fast, especially with clip-ons that you have the wrist way low. You just set the cruise control, and this one increments 2 at a time. So if you flip it, it will increase 2 at a time. It's very good. Few things that you need to know about this bike. First of all, each gear has a maximum speed and a minimum speed to engage the cruise control. So it will engage after third gear, so there's no cruise control on first and second. So after the third gear, you can engage it, and I didn't found the minimum speed on the third gear, but I think the maximum speed is 100 kilometers for the third gear. Above that, I didn't found heavy limits, but I know that the sixth gear has a limit of 180 kilometers per hour in cruise control. So you basically can go 180 on the freeway constantly with cruise control. I don't recommend it, but you can do it. That's the limit. To disengage it, you basically shift or brake and it will disengage. Be advised that it will be pretty aggressive in the disengaging. So if you are not giving it throttle and you do anything that makes the cruise control turn off, the bike will instantly cut power. So if you are on the corner, be advised that that will upset the suspension. Another thing, you cannot shift with a cruise control engaged. So you are stuck in the gear that you are, and that's it. So pull up a gear and make the bike happy with the gearing. But if you need to go up or down in gears, you will need to re-engage the cruise control. Another thing, you can, even with the cruise control on, you can override it with acceleration and pass a car and cut the throttle, and the bike will return to the previous speed. This will happen if you don't overspeed too much, so that upper limit that I was talking about, or if you don't keep that speed too much time. So if that happens, the cruise control will disengage. So that's it for cruise control. TC anti-wheelie. Both features are lifesavers. When I transition from this bike, from the CB to this bike, in the first week I managed to light up the dash like a Christmas tree, because I did a pull from a stoplight and I didn't notice that I stopped on some dirty road, and basically the bike saved me, because if I didn't have anything of those controls, probably I would spin out. So this is very good, and the only thing that I can tell you guys is that the traction control and the anti-wheelie work great, and the anti-wheelie is funny on this bike, because some anti-wheelies let you take the front wheel off the ground. I never managed to take the front wheel off the ground with this bike. The wheel stays down, you just feel the suspension lighten up at the front, and then it cuts immediately after. So that's something interesting. ABS, you can put it in module 1. This will not turn off the ABS, but will allow you to do stoppies. So that's the only thing that you can do with the ABS. To do a slide on the back, basically you don't, even with the ABS in 2, and I have it in 2 because if I need to make a panic braking, I don't want to do stoppies. So basically mine is in 2 in the individual mode, but you can actually slide the rear. I already did it, and I did it basically braking and just dumping gears, and the bike fished-tailed a bit, let me set up for the corner, and then it engaged, and it was awesome. And a little bit of oh shit moment for me because it was the first time, but you can do it, and the bike is very responsive, very stable, and it will allow you to do stuff even if it's the first time you do it. Quick shifter. Well, the quick shifter works great with a little asterisk. This bike likes to be ridden balls to the walls. If you do, if you go balls to the walls, everything works awesome. If you are just cruising along, be prepared for the quick shifter to lurch you or make you jump unless you are braking. If you are braking, it will not do blip ups. But if you are just cruising along, be prepared to be a little bit surprised with how the quick shifter works. If you are just rolling on the bike, goddamn, that works flawlessly. And that's it for technology. So reliability. You guys, it's an Aprilia. They have a reputation, and this bike has had me in a stitch for two things. First of all, the rear brake squeaking. It went away at 3k kilometers, and that's basically the pad wearing out. I took it to the shop 2 times because of this, but they would clean the brake pads, and they eventually told me if this continues like this, you need to change the brake pads to something better. And it luckily went away, but the rear brake is nothing special to talk about. So I will talk about brakes later. I actually didn't put a section of brakes, but after this I will talk about the brakes. So that's the main gripe with the rear shock, the rear brake. The other thing, this engine eats oil. That's a little bit how I ride, but the manual also states that if you ride the bike intensely, you should half the maintenance intervals. And I actually did a oil change of the bike at 5k kilometers because I took it there because the chain tensioner of this bike is hydraulic. So unless you have pressure on the oil, it will rattle. It will sound like a box of bolts. It's a very, it's not like a dry clutch, but the sound is similar. And this bike should not make that sound, but it does when it sits long and needs a cold start. But mine did this hot, so I turned it off, I turned it on, and it did this. I checked the oil periodically, and basically I ended up measuring what oil I put it in there, and the bike burned in 5k kilometers, burned half a liter of oil. I took it to the mechanic. They checked it. They flushed the oil. They put new oil in. The bike hasn't done that sound again. Only as a cold start from like a week sitting, but otherwise nothing to report. That's something that they told me to check. They had some bikes that needed to replace that part, but so far mine is okay. But it's an Aprilia. It has some quirks, and you need to keep on top of it. So that's my point for you guys. These bikes are pretty much at the limit of what the materials have, and you cannot skip maintenance. You need to be on top of it. If you are not on top of it, something will break. So far, I have no problems, but I have a few things that I needed to check. Otherwise, the shifter is okay. There's nothing wrong with the bike. So let's talk about brakes. I don't have brakes here, but let's talk about brakes. The front brakes are awesome. I think the front brakes are actually overpowered for what the bike does. Um, it's really good. You can stop on a dime. And the thing that I love about these brakes is the feel that they give you back. So you can actually dial the amount of your braking and what you're doing with the brakes. The rear brake, forget it. It's mushy. It doesn't brake. It just slows down the bike. So be very careful using the rear brake, because it's just for slow speed maneuvers, and if you want to start braking, you can give it rear and then front, but the front will do everything. The front brakes are really, really awesome, really, really good. And as I said, ABS works flawlessly. If you want to put it in mode 2, as I have, you will have no problems. I actually have made the front wheel squeal, and the ABS was not noticeable, so it works flawlessly. Quirks, as I said, there are at least two quirks with this bike. The first one is the quick shifter. As I said, it's only good for going fast. If you are going slow, if you are cruising around town, just shift regularly, because you will have some surprises with the bike lurching. And if you are doing slow speeds and you catch some kind of debris, it will suck. The other thing is, this is an Italian bike, and for those of you that have owned an Italian bike, no, there's no neutral. You can find it, but it's a pain in the ass. Every time I need neutral, I do the 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 until it finally goes into neutral. If I don't need neutral, it will go there. It's something crazy. It sometimes makes me lose my mind, but yeah, it is what it is. The gearbox works great. I like the gear ratio, but sometimes that neutral is just nowhere to be found, or always there when I don't need it, and I do some crazy red bomb. It's something stupid, but it's an Italian bike. For those that have owned ones, they know. And finally, the looks, guys. I don't need to say a lot about the looks. Even this dirty, I need to clean my wheels. They are always dirty. This is a pain in the ass to maintain clean, because they are always dirty. But the bike looks clean, looks awesome, and I love the look of the bubble, the big bubble. If you have noticed, this is the biggest bubble. This is official. Um, it makes it a little bit more aggressive, but from the side it looks great. From the front, a little bit strange, and from the pilot, it sucks, but it works, and it helps me stay in the bubble easier, and look better, and have a better vision. So it stays. I like it, but visually is a little bit controversial. That's it, guys. This is my review. Just to conclude, if I would buy it again, and the answer is yes. I still think this is the best bike in the 650, 660 range on the market. There are lots of new bikes, and I will make a video about that on this segment. But the Aprilia, you can only compare this bike to a true 600. The other ones are not don't straddle the line between racetrack and street bike like this one does. The other ones are all way too much street oriented, low RPMs, more torque. This one somehow manages to stand on the two sides of the coin, and I would buy it again in a heartbeat. The only thing that I think this bike misses is like 20 more horsepower. If it have an extra cylinder and like 30 horsepower, it would be perfect. Perfect. This bike is super agile, and the only thing that it misses is top end. It flags above a certain speed, because besides that, it's awesome, and I would buy it again. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope that you like this format, because I could not keep these lists straight and riding the bike, and you probably would not hurt me with the wind. So see ya, and good Good riding.